Presenting Queen Jacqueline of House Booktube, first of my name, queen of the readers, the writers, and the book nerds, Khaleesi of the World Wide Web, protector of misunderstood fictional characters, mother of kittens, and breaker of book slumps. Wow, it took me like 3 tastes just to get all of those titles right. I don't know how Daenerys does it. But in all seriousness, hello beautiful people of the internet. My name is Jackie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today in this video, I'm going to be doing the A Song of Ice and Fire book tag. I actually combined 2 book tags about A Song of Ice and Fire, one that was created by the 3 bookshelves and one that was created by Books with Elves, and I will link both of their original videos down below. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to read A Feast for Crows before the final season of Game of Thrones premieres on April 14th, which is also my dad's birthday, by the way, because I'm currently on a bit of a book buying ban until I can read some of the books I already own that are on my TBR before I go and waste my money on more books. And I just don't know if I'll have the time, so I figured I might as well do this tag now because I'm not gonna read any more of the books before the final season, very likely. So this video is going to include spoilers on the first 3 books, discuss some plot elements that I'm aware of in the final 2 books in the series. The final 2 published books at the moment, I mean. Obviously, no one knows who's going to be in The Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring. And it could potentially also include spoilers for all 7 seasons of Game of Thrones that are currently out. So if you are not up to date on any of those things, consider this your spoiler warning. The first question is your favorite male point of view character, and this is actually a little bit hard for me to answer. I really love Jon Snow. He's my favorite character in Game of Thrones, the TV show, and he's my favorite male character in the books. But I don't know if I would say that his point of view chapters are my favorite out of all the male characters. I really like Tyrion a lot, though I wouldn't say he's my favorite point of view, even though I do really enjoy his character. And I think the reason why I'm hesitant to say that Jon is my favorite is because his chapters really didn't give me any new perspective on his character, I feel. Whereas in A Storm of Swords, when I started reading Jaime Lannister's chapters, they just made my love for Jaime as a character increase tenfold. Jaime is in my top 5 characters in the show, but reading his point of view chapters and seeing his thought processes, his driving motivations, it really enhanced my love for him and made me have such a deeper and richer appreciation for him as a character. So because of that, I kind of want to say that I like Jaime's chapters more than I like Jon's. Just because even though I love Jon Snow, reading his chapters didn't make my love for him increase. It just made me view him the same way that I've always viewed him, if that makes any sense. Question 2 is your favorite female point of view, and there is no question about this one. My favorite female point of view in A Song of Ice and Fire is 100% Arya Stark. Now, Arya is a character who in the show I really like, but in the books, she is my absolute favorite character, ride or die. I would take a bullet for that girl, or take a stab wound. There's no bullets in Westeros, but I would die for her. I loved book Arya. I will defend her with my life. And I enjoy her on the show, but I think the writing for Arya on the show is just much more one-dimensional. I think that the writers of Game of Thrones have turned her more so into a stereotypical tomboy assassin who likes to kill things. And in the books, her character is just so much more complex, and I absolutely adore her. I think, first of all, in the show, sometimes I forget how young Arya is. She is older in the show than in the books, but still, even in season 7, she's only 17 years old, and teenage girls are not adults. And then in the books, seeing how young she is and what a horrible position she's been put in, I just feel this super strong urge to protect her. Like, I just want to give that girl a hug and tell her it's gonna be okay because she has suffered so much, and having access to her thoughts just makes me sympathize with her so much more than I already did. I I also think that getting to see Aria's thoughts in the books shows us, well, one, how much insecurity she has internalized due to the fact that she is not traditionally feminine and that she was bullied for her appearance as a child. You really lose sight in the show of those self-conscious issues that she has that have affected her negatively and have negatively affected her view of herself, which again increases my sympathy for her. And I also think in the books you get to see a lot of her compassion. She isn't a ruthless killer. She really does care about her family, and she shows kindness to strangers, people she's never even met before. You also see in the books that she's someone who is very good at making friends, and that she'll interact with people regardless of if they're highborn or low. There is a point in the books where Sansa says Arya will make friends with everybody, and she doesn't mean it as a compliment, but I think that's one of Arya's best traits. Next question is the point of view that was the hardest for you to get through, and for this one I have to say Theon. His chapters in A Clash of Kings made me very uncomfortable, and honestly I do like Theon. The TV show has made me go from hating him to actually really sympathizing with him, and I understand why he made the mistakes that he did, because he was put in a very bad position where he was raised as a ward, basically a prisoner. Even if he was a prisoner that was treated well, he was being kept by the Starks to ensure his father's good behavior, and he could have been hurt or punished if his father rebelled again. And then when he comes back home to the Iron Islands, his family wants him to prove his loyalty by betraying the Starks, who he has come to like. So I can understand that, but reading his chapters in A Clash of Kings and some of the things that he did made me very uncomfortable being in his mind, and I just really wanted to get out. I also know that in A Dance with Dragons, I believe, we see some of his chapters after he becomes Reek, and I am not excited to read those because I can only imagine how horrifying they're going to be, and all new kind of horrifying, and that's just a point of view that I think I'm always going to struggle with. I still think Theon's a very interesting character, but being in his mind is not my favorite place to be. Up next is the house that you pledge fealty to, and my answer for this is without a doubt House Stark. I love pretty much every member of the Stark family, and their family dynamics I think are just so great. I particularly really love the sibling relationship between Jon and Arya. Even though they have been apart ever since book 1, you can really see how often they think about each other and how dear the other is to them, which I think is just so wonderful and so precious. I really enjoy every single member of this family, and I love how much they mean to each other, how they constantly think about each other, and how this family always does the right thing, the honorable thing, even if sometimes that gets them killed, since they're living in such a ruthless political world. And I have gotten emotional over the Starks more than once because I love them very dearly, and I just want happiness for them. I just want them to get back to Winterfell, and the whole family's never going to be together again, and that hits me right in the feels every time. The next question is a plot twist that you didn't see coming. Now, a lot of the major shocking deaths or plot twists in this series I already knew about, either because I'd already seen them on the TV show, I watched the TV show before I read the books, or some of the plot twists I'd actually been spoiled about before I even went into the TV show, like the Red Wedding or Ned Stark's execution. Things like that, I knew they were gonna happen, unfortunately. I wish that I could have gone into the show blind, but it's just so popular that spoilers were everywhere, and I'd been seeing them for years back when I thought I was never going to watch the show. However, there was a plot twist at the end of A Storm of Swords, which was not in the show, and which I found really surprising, and that is the Lady Stoneheart plotline. In the A Song of Ice and Fire books, Catelyn Stark is brought back to life by Beric Dondarrion after the Red Wedding. However, because her body has been in the river for so long, she does not come back the way that she once was. She comes back as a vengeful zombie-like creature who becomes known as Lady Stoneheart. Stoneheart, and she is determined to get revenge against the Lannisters and the Freys. The epilogue to A Storm of Swords blew my mind. It was absolutely amazing, and it made me so excited to pick up A Feast for Crows. And I do want to pick up that book in 2019 so that I can see more of Lady Stoneheart and her plot line. I wish that I had a copy right now to read, but like I said, I'm on a book buying ban, so I'm gonna have to wait. And I don't want to wait. I want to read it now, but I have to be responsible. The next question is a character that everyone else loves, but who you hate. And for this one, I'm gonna go with Stannis Baratheon, Stannis the Manus. I just don't get why so many people love Stannis. I get that legally, because Robert's children with Cersei are not actually his, Stannis is the rightful king. However, that doesn't make him likable, in my opinion. I don't think Stannis has any character traits that particularly endear me to him. He hasn't done anything that's really impressed me, and I'm deeply troubled by his and Melisandre's actions that they do in the name of R'hllor, in the name of their religion, because I just don't think it's morally okay. In Game of Thrones, Stannis agrees to sacrifice his own daughter Shireen, to burn her alive so that he can win this war. And there are some people who say they don't think that's going to happen in the books, that they think it's just going to be a show-only thing. However, George R.R. Martin told the writers of the show that there were 3 major plot twists that were going to be in the series, 3 shocking moments. One was Hold the Door, another was Shireen being burned alive, and another that we haven't seen yet. So I think it's pretty clear that he's going to sacrifice Shireen in the books as well, which is just completely unacceptable and so tragic, because Shireen is just such a sweet, kind-hearted girl who does not deserve this. Not that anyone deserves to be burnt alive, but it's especially tragic that such a sweet little girl would be sacrificed by her own father. And even if Stannis doesn't do that in the books, it still doesn't make me like him, because there's still lots of other people who he was okay with being burnt alive, and I just don't think sacrificing people in the name of your religion is ever okay under any circumstance. It's just unacceptable, and I don't understand why Stannis inspires so much love in this fandom. The next question is your OTP, your one true pairing, your favorite romantic relationship. And this is another hard question because I have several that I really like. I have always shipped Jon and Daenerys together. I really wanted them to get together, and I was super happy when it finally happened in season 7 of the show, meaning it's probably gonna happen in the books as well, because I've always wanted them to get together. However, it hasn't happened in the books yet, and I don't think that really is my absolute favorite relationship, even if it's one that I really like. And I don't think I can really pick it when they haven't even met in the books yet, and I would be basing my answer solely off of what I want to happen. I also really like Aria and Gendry as a potential romance in the books. In the show, I didn't really ship them, but in the books, I think it's very clear that Aria has a crush on him, which I find really adorable. It's just, you know, her first crush, and I think it's super cute. I think he might also return those feelings, considering how jealous he got of Ned Dane, and I thought it was so funny how Aria couldn't understand why Gendry didn't like Ned, and I just wanted to be like, sweetie, both of them have a crush on you. You can't comprehend that guys like you and find you attractive. I think it's very precious. So, what was I saying? Oh, I think that Aria and Gendry could be a really cute potential romance. However, I wouldn't say they're my favorite relationship, and I also would want this relationship to happen only when Aria is old enough, because right now she is still very young. So I think it would be a good idea a couple years in the future when Aria is older. So then, who would I say is my absolute favorite romantic relationship in A Song of Ice and Fire? I gotta go with Jaime and Brienne. I absolutely love this relationship. I love the gradual progression of their feelings for one another, where originally they hated each other, and now they have this tentative friendship, and you can kind of see that they have feelings for each other, even if they won't admit it yet, and I absolutely love the enemies to friends to lovers trope. I love these moments they have together in the books that they don't have in the show. Jaime sticking up for Brienne. There's a part in A Feast for Crows apparently where Brienne like calls out Jaime's name while she's sleeping, and that just hit me right in the heart. I can't wait to get to that part because I think my brainy shipping self will just die of the feels. And the "I dreamed of you" line, swoon worthy. I absolutely adore this relationship. I think it's my favorite in the entire series, and it's probably gonna end tragically, and I'll probably cry about it, to be completely honest. Question 8 is the most traumatic death in the series, and for this one I have to go with the Red Wedding. This is actually more than one death because this is where Robb dies, all of Robb's men are slaughtered, and then Catelyn also dies. And the Red Wedding was traumatic in the TV show, but reading the book chapter, it broke my heart. And also reading Aria's chapters where she witnesses this broke my heart because I just wanted to protect her. I didn't want her to have to see this. And Catelyn, to be honest, is a character that I have mixed feelings about. In the show, I really understand where she's coming from, and I think people are a little too harsh on her. In the books, though, she's much harsher in her treatment of Jon. There's a part in A Game of Thrones where when Jon comes to say goodbye to Bran, she says that she wishes that what happened to Bran had happened to Jon instead, which is just an absolutely awful thing to say to anyone, and it's really inexcusable that she would say such a thing. However, being in her thoughts as she's watching her son be murdered was absolutely gut-wrenching, because at this point, Catelyn thinks that every single one of her children is dead. And being in her mind in her final moments, when she's thinking about Ned and she's thinking about her children and she's thinking that she failed them, almost brought me to tears. It was one of the most heartbreaking things that I've read in A Song of Ice and Fire. And Catelyn's not even one of my favorite characters, but in that moment I felt absolutely horrible for her. It broke my heart. I think I said broke my heart like 5 times talking about the Red Wedding, but that's exactly what it did to me. It devastated me emotionally. The second to last question is a theory that better prove true or you'll riot. I could say the theory that Jon and Daenerys are going to get together. However, since this already happened in the show and we pretty much know it's going to happen in the books, I'm not going to pick that one. One theory that I really like is the theory that Jaime Lannister is going to be the Valonqar who kills Cersei. Basically, when Cersei went to Maggie the Frog as a little girl to have her future told, Maggie the Frog told her that she was going to be killed by a Valonqar, and Valonqar is a High Valyrian word for little brother. So Cersei has always assumed that was going to be Tyrion, and that's part of the reason why she hates Tyrion so much. However, the books tell us that even though Cersei and Jaime are twins, Cersei is the older twin, so technically Jaime is still her little brother. And I think that out of all the characters, Jaime is the one who deserves to kill Cersei. I think he's the person who was most hurt by her actions, next to maybe Tyrion, and I think this would be such a satisfying moment to read. I think it would be great to have Cersei in her final moments realize that she was wrong, realize that it was always Jaime who was going to kill her, not Tyrion. And I think that Jaime's probably going to die in the end of the series too. And if I have to lose Jaime, I at least want this moment before he dies, because I think at this point, like, he's earned the right to kill Cersei, as horrible as this sounds, after everything that she's put him through, and how Jaime has been so devoted to her, where I don't feel like she felt the same way about him. I think he earned it, as bad as that sounds, and I just think this would be a great moment to read. So I hope that Jaime is the Valonqar, and anyone else being the Valonqar would disappoint me at this point. The final question of this tag is, who will sit the Iron Throne at the end of the series? Now, first of all, I want to say I don't know if there will still be a physical Iron Throne when the series ends, because I think the Iron Throne really represents corruption, the warfare, the imbalance of power, and I think the series needs to end with the monarchy really being reformed and made to be a more fair system that is going to take care of the small folk, that is not going to represent the High Lords playing their Game of Thrones and messing with innocent lives. I don't think it's going to be a democracy, because it's just unrealistic to go from a feudalist society to a democracy. There needs to be steps if you want to get there. I think a constitutional monarchy is more likely. So, if you're asking me who I think is going to be king or queen, I think Jon Snow is definitely the most likely option. R+L equals J. The series is called A Song of Ice and Fire. Jon Snow is the Song of Ice and Fire himself. He is half Stark, half Targaryen, half ice, half fire. And I think Jon Snow is the closest thing the story has to a main protagonist. The only real question I have is if Daenerys is going to be sitting beside him, if they are going to be co-rulers, because I do think that they're going to get married. I do think they're going to have an heir together. I just don't know if Daenerys is going to survive long enough to be Queen of the Seven Kingdoms. I don't want her to die, but I feel like there's a chance that she might. So I think Jon's definitely going to be the king. The question is he going to be ruling by himself, or is he gonna be ruling alongside Daenerys? So everyone, that is it for the A Song of Ice and Fire book tag. Let me know in the comments, what are your A Song of Ice and Fire opinions? Do you agree with some of my answers? Are there any that you disagree with? I would really like to hear your thoughts if you also really love this series. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, and I hope to see you in the next video.